Good afternoon, comrades and friends. Such a tremendous program. I know this is Black History Month. This is a Black History Month program, and we're concerned with the situation of the Black Lives Matter movement in the Trump epoch. But I'm thinking mostly about class, working class, as in the working class versus the capitalist class. I submit to you that it's no contradiction to be talking about that at a Black History Month forum that is concerned with the Black Lives Matter movement. How many people here consider themselves part of the working class? I'm not talking about in some practical sense. You know, you have a job, or you may not have a job, or you may be retired or in school. I'm talking about in the political sense, as in, I am a member of the working class that should be doing a better job fighting the capitalist class. How many people view themselves? Well, not everybody, but most. See, this is important. This is, I think, the crux of our discussion and our problem at this juncture as we deal with Trump. That is the working class and how what's happening to everyone, particularly the most oppressed, has a lot to do with class, and not in a good way unless we do something about it. See, now that Trump has given ICE agents, he already gave the cops it a long time ago, you know, well, in the municipalities or whatever, it's given them freedom to do whatever they want. You can arrest and deport whoever you want, meaning millions of people are at risk. See, if we take our paper, it's a wonderful paper, Workers' World newspaper, and we go out to Queens, we go out to Roosevelt Avenue and 69th Street, where there's a lot of undocumented workers who line up to get day laborer jobs. Most of them are Mexican, Central American. Or you can go to any number of, you know, these burgeoning new African immigrant communities in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, you know, where, you know, there are immigrant workers of varying quote-unquote legal status, and you got ICE agents there. Some of them are undercover. Most of the time they're undercover. Just like you've got ICE agents, more of them now, open or undercover on Roosevelt Avenue. And you go out there and you talk to some of our immigrant sisters and brothers, and you say, these deportations, you know, that's an attack on all of us. And they might look at you and say, well, no, it's an attack on me, not you. And, you know, you'd have to admit that they had a very good point, because depending on who you are and what you look like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you do not face the prospect of immediate arrest and deportation, whereas other people do. So there's a big distinction. It's a reality check, see. And you could argue, well, it is really an attack on all of us, because we are one human family and we are decent people, and it's so unjust, and all that's true, but they say, well, no, it's still more of an attack on me than it is on you. See, the only context where it is an attack on us becomes relevant and has truth to it, sisters and brothers, is when we talk about it in terms of class. See, and when we understand that the reason for these deportations, the reason for this souped up new war against immigrants is deliberate, calculating, sinister, and it's an attempt by Trump and forces around him to divide and crack up the working class. It's a political attack on the working class. So whether you see yourself in the working class or not, And whether you see the working class as at least potentially a class that has a revolutionary potential. When we dream about revolution and socialism, we communists, we Marxists and socialists, we think about the workers and the oppressed. Not just the workers and the oppressed rising up against capitalism. It is in that context, and not in some moralistic context or some liberal philosophical context, that yes, we see this is an attack on us, because these deportations, just like all these attacks, the ban on Muslims, it is a diabolical plot to divide and break up the working class on a global basis. And I submit to you that it is the biggest problem. It is the biggest problem that we face. And so we're going to have to strengthen our understanding of this. And we're going to have to strengthen, at the same time, our relationship to one another, so that we know best how to proceed, and that we know that when we're fighting for sanctuary cities or a sanctuary house or basement, and that we're forming defense committees to defend those who are either victimized by the police or by ICE, both the same thing, that what we're really doing is defending our class against an attempt to divide it and crush it on a global basis. We believe that this is the kind of political consciousness that's going to be necessary. It's not there. I would speculate that even in this room full of wonderful revolutionaries, how many people consider themselves revolutionary? Some is thinking about it, most progressive. Some people don't want to be identified. That's cool too, you know. We'll push you in a revolutionary direction. You won't even know it. That sounds like something they would say Lenin said, but he never would say anything like that, you know. This is what we have to do as we move toward International Working Women's Day and May Day, where we're talking in terms of a general strike. Our party has posed the question of the need for a global general strike on May Day. We're not even considering whether that's possible. You know, it may not be possible. It may be like way premature. But we're opening the discussion because we think it's what should happen. And why should it be global? Precisely because the Trumps of the world are trying to divide us on some bullshit phony nationalism, which is basically white supremacy. And they're trying, and when he's trying to do it, they basically say it. I've studied Bannon, who is his sort of the head of the neo-fascist kind of wing in the Trump regime. You know, you should listen to some of the speeches that he's made in the past, not the recent ones. He has to be a little circumspect, you know, because now he's a big shot in the White House, you know. But what his strategy is, he sees capitalism in a big crisis. He said it. And in order for us to stop that crisis from developing into a global struggle against capitalism, we have to divert that global struggle against capitalism into a race war, into a quote-unquote class of civilizations. So that the class struggle, are you following what I'm saying? The class struggle, the socialist struggle, the anti-capitalist struggle is derailed and becomes people fighting each other based on nationality and race. Let's get the immigrants. Let's get the Muslims. Let's get black people. Let's get women. Let's get LGBTQ. This is what this is about, sisters and brothers. See? For those of you who have come to any of the meetings in this loft, or other meetings, I'm sure, since Trump was elected, and there have been these wonderful demonstrations. You know, I can't even remember the dates. Some of the big ones were right after the inauguration, the Saturday one. The one that was really kick-ass was the day of the inauguration. There are comrades that can talk about that. Some of us were down there, you see. There's been some tension in the movement, even in the midst of all this activism. We've talked about it, right? There's been tension, you know. The tension, maybe this is an overgeneralization, the tension sometimes appears to be between people of color who have been in the streets for years now trying to stop a police war against black and brown people, getting arrested, getting beat up, shutting down shit, and other supporters, including white supporters who have been with them, and also the immigrant forces, you know, who were shutting down Varick Street last year under, what's his name? Obama. You know, on one hand, and all of these new social forces that are now fearful and angry and have entered the arena of struggle and are coming out in large numbers, which is great, whether it's at the women's demonstration or at the airport and so forth. And again, this is we don't want to overgeneralize, but you know, sometimes you have to a little bit in order to sharpen a point. There is the perception that a lot of these new forces are white. I don't know whether that's true. It seems that way, but there certainly are a lot of people of color, and you can't just say they're all one thing, and that's where you really begin dumbing yourself down, even though they might look the same. But some of the sisters and brothers who have been fighting under Obama for years, they say, where were y'all? Where were y'all when they were beating us up? See, it seems as though some of you must have thought everything was okay, you know, and that Obama was pretty good. And so they weren't coming after me, and Obama's so great, and he's so, what a nice president for our country, and what a wonderful image to the world, and this is the, how could we be more democratic? We elected a black president, and you know, and others are saying, no, it wasn't good under Obama. It wasn't. Some of you may have not been paying attention for whatever reason. It seems like some people who are coming out saying, well, now U.S. democracy, the great, wonderful U.S. democracy is threatened, you know, and he's attacking the media. How dare him? He's attacking CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post. I think they said they wouldn't let him come into a meeting at the White House. Oh, my goodness, you know, and the fake news and the First Amendment, you know, and, well, you know, okay, we're not unconcerned about that. That's an interesting subject perhaps for another meeting, but you know, this news is, they're not so democratic, and this system is not so democratic, and guess what? They've been lying to us. So when Trump attacks them, it's not good attacking lie, it's liar attacking another liar. And when they say, well, our democracy has been subverted by Russia because they decided the elections, and we must now unite with the Central Intelligence Agency because these good agents, you know, these defenders of democracy and freedom, they're leaking information that the White House is trying to hide that shows the deep connections between Trump and the Russians. See, this basically is the anti-Trump platform of the bourgeoisie, of the Democratic Party. It's important to break this down because it helps us distinguish the revolutionary platform against Trump versus the bourgeois stupid nonsense platform of the Democratic Party. See? But I want to end with a note of optimism, extreme revolutionary optimism. See, not all of the people who have come into the streets because they've either been angered or scared to death by Trumpism are bad. As a matter of fact, I suspect they may be mostly good, and certainly a percentage of them are now being radicalized. What does that mean? That means that their political consciousness is evolving. It's not stagnant. Everything that they've thought, every conception they've had for years, it's being attacked and they're changing. It's a chemical process, and it's a wonderful thing to see. They come into that door thinking one thing, and they leave with some new information. And it might have been that a year ago they wouldn't have been open to that information. But now they're like, right, yeah, you know. That, sisters and brothers, is almost precisely how most of us veteran revolutionaries became revolutionaries. Something happened to us. We got kicked in our ass, and then we started doing something that we usually don't do. We started thinking. And I think, just to bring it back to the class question, you know, a lot of the young whites, whites of all generations, you know, and I'm not forgetting my revolutionary sisters and brothers of color. They're already in the trenches, you know, catching hell. But a lot of the young whites who are coming into the movement, I salute them. I salute them at a Black History program. How about that? That's ironical. And why is that? Because some of them are becoming revolutionaries. Some of them are becoming revolutionaries, which means that they cease to be motivated by liberal reasons, moral reasons. This is terrible. That's all good in the beginning. That is all good. But at a certain point, you have to realize that your struggle is to hold together your class so that it has a revolutionary potential on a global basis. That's a higher level of political consciousness. A lot of these young whites are becoming revolutionaries, and what they are, in my humble opinion, is the healthiest tissue of the working class that is white. That's what I think they are. And so what they do in the coming weeks and months, as we endeavor to do what we can to stand by the oppressed, what these folks do is very, very important to us. They are realizing that when they stand with the oppressed, immigrants, black people, Muslim, women, LGBTQ, the disabled, whatever, they're standing for a united, multinational, worldwide working class that is going to put capitalism in its grave. Happy Black History Month. First point, you know, going forward into March, past International Working Women's Day, there are going to be more and more meetings to prepare for May Day, which is very, very important. How many people believe it's important? Everybody, okay, right. One of the first meetings that we know about, not the only meeting, is going to be our own Workers' World Party meeting next Thursday, March 2nd, where we're going to be, I think, one of the first public meetings where we start talking about what is May Day 2017? What's different from before? What do we know that's happening? We'll try to get representatives of those forces and communities that are organizing for May Day. I want to make it clear, it's not the only May Day meeting. There'll be other ones, but it's going to be one of the first ones. It's going to be a revolutionary one. And I think if it's possible, it would be important for all of you to come back next Thursday, so we can spend this time talking about, among other things, May Day. And just this, comrades and friends, you know, capitalism, especially now that it has entered a too long period of just decay, it wreaks havoc on society, on people, on communities. Not just in the obvious ways. I don't have a job, I've been evicted, I can't afford to live where I've been living, I just got fired, I have to have 3 jobs, none of them are secure, and all the other things, all the attacks on the oppressed that we've concerned ourselves with this meeting. It poisons social relations too. It's psychological warfare. It tends to make most people feel very small and very lonely and very isolated, and you know, you get substance abuse and all the other terrible things. It's a sickness, and no one's immune from it. In our view, no one's immune. It's a sickness. It causes mental health issues. You know, no one knows where they belong. You know, I think to some extent, even some of the psychological problems influenced by capitalism that might have helped Trump get in, you know, you could ascribe to, you know, just sectors of our class going nuts, you know, going temporarily, hopefully, insane because of capitalism and all that it dumps on our class. And it makes it all the more necessary for those of us who are revolutionaries and those of us who are trying to be revolutionaries to come together and forge a revolutionary culture of solidarity and love to counter the sickness of capitalism, and to know there's a place where you are welcome. There's a place where you're not nothing. There's a place where your voice counts. There's a place where you're embraced. There's a place that's not exclusive, but inclusive. It's a revolutionary culture. It has everything to do with the long fight for a new world. What was that slogan back a few years ago? A new world is possible. A better world is possible. You know, that we're there. We're there on the threshold. I wish the journey was shorter, but the journey is whatever it is. It needs revolutionaries to take up that journey. Please help us. Help us build that struggle and the revolutionary culture that comes in tandem with it. It'll make us all better revolutionaries and probably feel better about ourselves day to day.